Happy Noirvember, film fans! Welcome to All the Film Things. I'm your host, Elizabeth. Thank you for listening. If you're enjoying this podcast, leave a review or a rating. Also check out the All the Film Things Instagram for updates and more film things. Noirvember is a big deal in the film community. It's when we celebrate the noir genre, which not only is one of my favorite genres of cinema, but also very much underrated today. Last year, host of the Red Room Radio podcast, Christina Santiago joined me in discussing the 1958 French film Elevator to the Gallows. This year, we are focusing on another French noir film that has made a significant impact on cinema. Jean Pierre Melville's 1967 neo-noir film Le Samouraï, starring Alain Delon. And joining me to discuss this masterpiece is movie critic Matthieu Côté. Thank you so much for joining me, Matthieu, and happy Noirvember to you.
Thank you very much for the invitation. I love that you invited me for Noirvember because I'm also a big fan of film noir, and it's a genre like in the 40s, 50s that was very rich in terms of visual storytelling. But today we're talking about Le Samouraï, which is a movie in color. And it's a theme that we're going to be talking about, but I love everything about this movie. And it's a great example of how the genre evolved throughout the years, because now we have a lot of neo-noir films like Drive that have become iconic and very influenced by that film. So thanks for the invitation, and let's celebrate Noirvember.
Absolutely. I'm so happy you're here. You mentioned films like Drive, and this is regarded as one of the most influential films of all time. Some of the biggest directors have taken from this: Martin Scorsese, Quentin Tarantino. Most recently, we were talking about Richard Linklater in some emails, and he made Hitman, The Killer, David Fincher. I could go on. Thief.
And The Killer by John Woo, because John Woo also said that he was very much inspired by Jean Pierre Melville. So it's funny because they all have the same name. The Driver by Walter Hill, Drive by Nicholas Winding Refn. It's like there's a theme coming out from this film, but it's extremely influential for sure.
Extremely influential, and as you also mentioned, the noir genre. It's such an interesting take on the noir genre because it is neo-noir, but it very much feels like a noir. It feels like a fusion of, this film was 1967. It feels like a fusion of new Hollywood and old Hollywood noir films of the 40s. So it's a really cool fusion, but very Parisian at the same time.
Absolutely. It's a character study, and that's something that's very important when you do a film noir. It's the character study. There's always a femme fatale, but it's a bit different in that film. We'll maybe talk about it a little bit, but there's all those elements that are present in this one, but it feels very much above the film noir genre. It kind of like dives into different themes that goes above what we're usually seeing in a regular, like a generic film noir that we used to see in the 40s. Yes,
and there's a lot of similarities in terms of the look of the characters, the fashion of the character.
Yeah.
Bogart and Delon had a very similar outfit. I'm thinking of Maltese Falcon, but the trench coat and the hat, of course. But Delon makes it far more stylish, I think. Like, the way Bogart wears it, it's more of a uniform.
Oh, he's just like effortlessly good looking. Like he
can't say that enough.
You could just stand there, and there's like his posture is like very like stoic, and he stands there, and there's his hat and everything about the look of his trench coat, like you said, the color palette towards the film, but everything fits so well. But he's just elevating the movie by doing nothing. So that's what I love about that.
Yes, and it's, show don't tell, which we're going to get into even more, but I love how you mentioned the color palette of the film because it's like a black and white film, but in color. It's very muted color tones. Mm-hmm. It's very minimalistic, I guess.
Neutral.
Very
neutral, yeah.
It's really stunning. It's really beautiful cinematography. And the cinematographer, now, there's going to be some French words in this. You speak French.
Oh, I'm going to help you. With that. Don't worry about it.
Thank you. I did take French in high school, but I did not do very well. So I'm very rusty on this, but the cinematographer, Henri Decaille?
Henri Decaille.
I was close.
Henri.
Oh, that's the easy. I thought I was close. I should have gone with my instinct, but he was a very significant cinematographer in France of this time. Funny enough, I learned this today. He was the cinematographer for Elevator to the Gallows, my noir film last year.
Yeah.
The 400 Blows, working with Alain Delon on Purple Noon, Joy House, Le Cercle Rouge, Peter Fonda film Two People, Jane Fonda film Circle of Love. Like, he was very established at the time.
Mm-hmm. Oh, French cinema during the 60s and 70s was completely like out of this league. There's some like, even if you're thinking about Henri-Georges Clouzot, Truffaut, there's all those great directors, but I always had a soft spot for Jean Pierre Melville, and Le Samouraï is like up there in, if you ask me like a top 10 list of French films, Le Samouraï is like obviously on there, like without a doubt.
I was
gonna swear, sorry, but what a great film.
You can swear if you want to. Some people do, some people don't. It's whatever you feel.
It's okay. No, I'm gonna calm down on that a little bit. But yeah, I thought it's fantastic. And you talk about the color palette. There's all those tone of beige and blue, but extremely like immersed into dark tones. And I talked about a little bit of lighting earlier, but what I see about that is we have a character that's hiding in the shadows, is very reclusive, a solitary man. And during the old time, everything is in the shadows and it overtakes the whole screen. There's so many like scenes where everything is dark and black, and even the opening shot. Let's just I know a little bit.
Yeah, let's talk about that opening shot.
I'm gonna but I will anyway. Great film, and I'm gonna let you guide the rest of the conversation. Otherwise, I'll be talking about it for 10 hours.
That's okay. That's coming up on my list, but I did want to provide some context on how we got connected. It was through the comments of your YouTube video, The Eyes of Past Lives. Your analysis was absolutely brilliant and greatly helped me prepare for my episode on that film. And we had a quick chat in the comments, and I was happy to learn that you were interested in coming on the show. So now, approaching a year later, I'm so thrilled to finally have you on. And you had said that you hold this film in very high regard, as you just said, top 10. So it's top 10 French films. In terms of your favorite films overall, where do you place it?
Oh, it's a good question. You know what, about lists, the things, it always changes for me. I'm a guy that it goes with the mood, and sometimes I feel like I get stick on a film and I rewatch it over again. And Le Samouraï was one of those films a few years back. So I guess I would put it definitely top 20 of all time. I would put it there. Nice. I would say that. I would say it's a top 20 film of all time for sure. How about you?
You know, my list, I got into foreign films about 3 years ago. And I did the 2-week free trial of Criterion, and I was off and running. No hesitation towards subtitles ever again. Not that I really had a hesitation before, but I love watching foreign films. I mostly watch foreign films and older films now. And I discovered this film earlier this year, and I loved it. I absolutely loved it. I don't know where I'd put it on my top favorite films. The problem is I see all these amazing films, true cinema, but I can't shift my top favorites that I've had since I was like 12, which is like...
Which are?
Titanic.
Which are?
A lot of Christopher Nolan, so here we go. So Titanic and The Dark Knight Rises, they're tied. And then just after it, The Dark Knight and Inception. So I watch all these amazing films like Wings of Desire, Vertigo, like all these just phenomenal films, Chungking Express. I could go on. But I can't shift around my top favorites. They've just been my favorites. I don't know how to shift them. So I am curious where I'd put Lemurs.
If you grew up with those films, it's normal. I'm sorry to interrupt you, but if you grew up with those films, it's normal to have like this connection, emotional connection to those films, which makes it difficult for you to bump them off the list. For me, my number one movie of all time will always be The Shining. And whatever happened, whatever my moods change. So if I'm on Letterboxd, sometimes I will switch like 2, 3, and 4, depending on the mood. If it's summer, I'll put some summer movies. But number one is always there. It's always The Shining. Come again?
Oh, sorry. I just thought La Piscine, the swimming pool. I probably didn't say that correctly. But that won't...
Oh, La Piscine. No, you said it right. But La Piscine, I prefer Purple Noon, Plein Soleil. Purple Noon is fantastic. And you were talking about the cinematographer, which also is working on Le Samouraï, Henri Decay. It's Henri, not Henry. No, I'm teasing
Henri.
you.
Did I say Henry?
No, it's okay. You said it right. I'm just teasing you.
Okay. Listen, this is going to happen throughout this episode, okay? I'm looking at the names, even the composer of the film. I'm probably going to need help with that. If any names come up with some of the cast.
François de Roubaix.
Roubaix?
Yeah. De Roubaix.
De Roubaix. I'm trying. It's been years since I've taken French, so I apologize. I do not mean to offend the French-speaking people. I appreciate you and your contributions to cinema. So...
You're not offending anyone. No
okay,
way.
good. Do you remember the first time you saw this film?
Yes, I do, actually. It was, I think, in 2015. So it was during the time where I was also diving very deep into like French cinema, but because I'm from Quebec, and sometimes there's a rivalry between Quebec and France. And I grew up with my father saying French movie are bad, French movies suck, and I had like this mentality. But then when I actually made my own research and discovered all those beautiful films, I really like dived right into it. And Jean Pierre Melville is one of those big names. So I think it was 2015. And it's a movie, like I told you, I immediately rated like 10 out of 10. There was like no doubt about it. It was like perfect on every single aspect for me in terms of the message of the film, the cinematography, and the direction. We can go into all those details, but it struck me as an like immediately masterpiece. Like it's a classic. There's no doubt about it. So I was around 2000. It was around 2015. How about you?
2015. Okay, me 2024. It was, I think, spring of this year. Yeah.
Well, this year. Actually, yeah, this year.
We're almost in 2025, but I saw it through the Criterion channel, I believe, or maybe through TCM, and man, I was just struck with it. I mean, I loved Alain Delon. He's one of my favorite French stars and movie stars in general. That's what led me to watching the film. I love noir, and the score was just, that's one of my favorite scores. I'm sure we're going to get into that, but it's one of my favorite of French cinema, and the more I watch it, the more I appreciate it. So I'm so happy I asked you to be a part of this one, because you love this film. You have so much respect for it.
Oh, I do. And like, let's just start about the opening, if Weller had it, if you don't mind. Like, yeah, it starts with this very like stable, stationary shot. And at some point after like 1 minute, 30 seconds, you can see the camera like shaking and kind of like changing. And I feel like this is him, because he's living this life where he's so methodical and so meticulous in everything he's doing, but his life is about to be destabilized. And it's very reflected in that first opening shot. I really love that little detail. If you notice perfectly, it's the same shot the whole time. He's smoking on his bed. Well, you can see the bird in the cage. But there's a little moment after 1 minute 30 when the movie's about to begin, when you can notice the camera shaking. And I feel like it really reflects how he's being destabilized from his usual behavior, because he's living by a code, the samurai code. So this is a little detail that I love about the opening.
The shaking of the camera is incredible, and that opening shot, it's so stationary, you might even miss him on the bed. Yeah. Like, it's not as we've said, it's a monochromatic color palette. He's kind of far in the distance on this bed. Without that cigarette being lit, we could easily miss him. But the shaking of the camera, I like how you analyze that, because it reminded me of The Wrong Man, Alfred Hitchcock, when Manny Ballesteros in jail. It's him on the inside just like spiraling. It's a similar, not as drastic in Les Samouraï as it was in The Wrong Man. But what I learned about that shot and the shakiness of it, Melville intended for him to be schizophrenic, and that's why he made that shot of the shaking, to try and go through his mentality and mental state, I guess. I'm surprised that he would make him schizophrenic.
I don't know. There's something about the fact that he's just sitting there and so comfortable with his lifestyle and how he lives, and his little bubble that's going to be like popped and burst like very quickly in the movie. That's like actually the first thing that happens that kind of like destabilizes him. So anyway, I really love the opening shot.
It's an incredible opening shot. Before I ask my question that I have associated with that first shot, I do want to read the IMDb plot summary. After professional hitman Jef Costello is seen by witnesses, his efforts to provide himself an alibi drive him further into a corner. Which, even that description, that's anxiety-fueled, which kind of attributes to the opening shot, that shakiness. So that's cool we read that
Absolutely.
after.
And there's something by every decision in this movie behind the camera that is completely all thought out, and it's very meticulous. And you can tell the same way I feel like the main character is extremely like looking for perfection. Jean Pierre Melville absolutely like nails the whole film like behind the camera. He's also very meticulous and everything is perfect. So I feel like in some ways he's able to write those characters that are like kind of like he's a sociopath. So you know, like if you're an assassin, you're killing people, you know he has mental issues. So when you talk about the shakiness and maybe it's the possibility of him being like a schizophrenic, I mean, that's possible, but I love when we don't always have the answers in a movie and that we can analyze it by ourselves and make our own theories about it. That's what makes like the best movie of all time, I think, is when you can have a discussion about that. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think it's fun to analyze. Well, it's an interesting film to analyze because the characters themselves are very analytical. Jeff's very analytical and methodical, as you said, and so is the police officer, the le commissaire.
Le commissaire.
What was it?
Le commissaire. He's a commissioner, like Commissioner Gordon.
Yes,
like
commissioner.
Title. So he's commissaire. Guys, yeah, it's all right. You got it. It's all good.
I just refer to him in my notes as the police officer, the main police officer.
That works.
But the other actors in this weren't so known, and they didn't do too many other films. Nathalie Delon, this was her first film, and she was married to Alain at the time.
Yeah.
And Cathy Rosier, the pianist, she wasn't in too many films either. So it's really just Delon and the actor Francois. I'm not going to attempt the last name.
But that's an interesting point that he was able to cast some actors that didn't really have big roles before and put them kind of the forefront. And that kind of makes this movie more personal in a way because it's kind of those people that you would see in the street, or it kind of makes feeling that it's more relatable. You know, when you have those big movie stars always with like those like flashy costume, it kind of feels like you're watching a movie and it feels fake in a way. But in that sense, when you bring some actors, some character actors, some real people, it gives us a sense of authenticity into the movie. And I feel like that's something that's interesting, that he decided to choose some people that didn't really work on like big movies before, or actually didn't work on movies before. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. And I think it's more common back in the day to have lesser known actors as part of the ensemble cast with maybe a few known actors. So it wasn't too irregular at the time.
No, but it's something that the French New Wave kind of like put in the forefront, is like using real locations for people that feel like real people. And Jean Pierre Melville is something about that's also a detail about the film that I really love, is you can tell that he's shooting on locations, and he's not the first one to do it, but in French cinema there was always like those soundstage back in the days, and it was not as authentic as it is like now, but this was a big push to show that you can bring your camera, your crew on an actual location and make it feel more authentic instead of trying to replicate the reality, you know?
Yeah. It's funny because the way you describe the French New Wave, it almost parallels New Hollywood with Easy Rider, with going outside of the sound stages, filming on location, real lighting.
Yes.
And they're both two of the most impactful movements of cinema. I think it's safe to say that they're two of the biggest movements in cinema, the most impactful remaining today.
Oh, it's like, I mean, I kind of agree with that. You know, if I'm not gonna play the old guy who says, well, there's German expressionists in the 1920s. Like,
that's another one I do love. Yes, German expressionism, fantastic.
Yeah.
Strangers on the Third Floor, that nightmare sequence, forget about it.
I never saw it.
You gotta watch it.
But I love how you were talking earlier too. We were talking about the influence, and you talk about David Fincher's The Killer. And it's crazy how the opening of Le Samouraï replicates. It's like kind of a mirror. During the opening of The Killer, for 20 minutes, you have Michael Fassbender's character like bragging to the audience how he's like perfect and everything is always like calculated to the last level. For him to, after 20 minutes, to miss his shot and like mess up his whole life. And that's kind of what happened in Le Samouraï. So you can see his influence affected not only visually, but the storytelling on so many levels. You can see his influences. But I was gonna talk about David Fincher's The Killer because that's kind of like similar in terms of opening like 20 minutes, if I would say so. Yeah.
Those two films are so similar. The Killer is basically Le Samouraï, but more talkative, more dialogue, and more stylized.
Yeah, I was gonna say without the narration.
Yes,
And
yes.
in the Samouraï, what happened is like instead of having a narration, it's all the visuals that speaks. I think that's what makes it a better film, in my opinion.
I agree.
But not to say nothing against the killer. I love the narration in the killer. But what's great about the Samouraï is the quietness. So you were talking about the music from François de Roubaix, and I love how sometimes Melville uses some keynotes at some very important moments. But you have a sequence during the middle of the film where it's an action sequence, and usually in films those days you would hear like those bombastic music with big drums, like very tense music. But now it's just all quiet.
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't play any music. Mm-hmm. And then when he gets shot, he goes back in his apartment, and then there's this very calming music playing, and it just the atmosphere of this movie by itself is very unique. So what do you love about the music? And because as you were saying, like that was one of your highlights.
I'm so happy you just mentioned that. So the score, that first score when he gets out of his apartment, was the first score that made me go, oh, okay, this is like top 10 scores of all time. This is beautiful, and it feels ahead of its time with its kind of, not techno, but electronic, I guess. It's a score that you could hear today, I think. You know, it doesn't feel as 1967. But when you were just talking about how the score really tells a story, you were talking about the scene when he comes back to tend to his injury, his wound. Something so subtle before the moment where the famous score from the film happens, just before he leaves his apartment, he's looking at the mirror, fixing the brim of his hat, and the score has a very mixed feel to it. A lot of mixed kind of emotions to kind of signal, I think, we don't know how to feel about this guy. Is he a bad guy? It's a very ambiguous character. We don't know who he is, and the score doesn't help us in that moment. You know, is he evil? Is he good? It's a very short moment, and of course no dialogue is said, but just the music, the way it tells the story there is phenomenal.
Well, it speaks volume, just like the bird in the cage. Like we talked about it a little bit, but it's part of the opening shot. There's the bird in the cage, and obviously it's like one of the symbolic image in the film. But it also shows a little bit. I mean, I see it a bit as of a foreshadowing, because he's about to not necessarily being put in jail, but he's about like get into trouble. But also he's stuck in his manners and in his way of lifestyle. And there's a lot about the bird. But you said you noticed something about the chirping sound, so I'm curious what you had to say about that.
The chirping. So you had mentioned you definitely wanted to talk about the bird in an email. And in my second watch of the film, I was like, okay, there's something going on with this bird. This bird is not just a bird. This is his accomplice. This is a smart bird. And I paid attention during my watch just the other day. The chirping, oh my God, it is so subtle, but it's so perfect. Just as one example, after the police officers put the listening device in his apartment, Jef returns home, and the chirps are pretty regular. And he's bleeding through his shirt, and he's about to make the phone call to the pianist. Just as he's about to make the phone call, the chirps increase and become more fast-paced. And that's his signal. He's tipped off by this bird. He's looking around everywhere for this listening device before he makes his call. And the chirps are pretty normal as he's looking around. And then we see a quick shot of the man in the hotel nearby listening. And then as he's about to find the listening device, I think the chirp pacing is even more increased again. And of course, you get that great shot of the zoom in of this listening device hidden right there with the curtain pulled. And it's amazing, those chirps. But another little moment is when he comes back later, the chirping is increased again. And that is just before this blonde go-between breaks through the apartment, punches his arm through the glass, which is a very jarring moment. This film, there's not too much action. It's more reliant on suspense and the character, watching this character, as you said, character study. There's not many jarring moments. So that moment, it's like a jump scare almost. It's so shocking. And the bird tips him off there.
Exactly. The bird is basically, he's tipping him off the whole time. That which makes it interesting. And there's not a narrator telling you like, the bird right now is thinking like X, Y, Z.
Thank God there isn't.
It leaves it to the audience. No, but you know what I mean? Like it leaves it to the audience to kind of like make your own idea about it. And then you rewatch it the second time and you find a new detail. And then when you're going to watch it the next time, I'm telling you, Liz, you're going to find a new detail that you didn't know about. This is what's cool about this movie. Yeah. There's always something new that you can find when you rewatch it. Yeah.
Absolutely. And these show don't tell type films are amazing rewatches because you continue to gain something each time, similar to Easy Rider. Yeah. But what's interesting enough is Les Samouraï, was not appreciated as much at the time. I was shocked to learn this, but apparently Delon's acting was described as boring, which, yeah.
You're boring. No, no, but like, I don't agree with that.
No, it's just, audiences sometimes, they're bored by silences. They're bored by long silences. That's why people are critical of Antonioni's work oftentimes. You're shaking your head. I disagree as well. Even films like Dunkirk, people complain because there's more silence, less dialogue. The score drives it, and same with Les Samouraï. The score helps tell the story without words needing to be said. And thank God there's no narrator.
No, but I mean, like, I talked about the narrator because we were talking about The Killer, which I also love it. Like, the narration is beautifully incorporated into that film, but Le Samouraï clearly is more interested in telling something with the images, with the atmosphere, and all those movements, the suits, like his act, and everything that Alain Delon does with his eyes. We talked about the eyes of Alain Delon.
We're going to get into the eyes, yes.
Well, we can if you want to. Like, I mean, he was a beautiful man. I'm gonna say it. He was a beautiful man.
Yes, yes, he was. Yes, he really, really was. Before we get into the eyes, part of the reason why I wanted to do an episode on Les Samouraï this year, and this was not the original plan. I originally was going to talk about another noir film that I'd wanted to do last year, but in August, Alain Delon passed away, and I was devastated. I'm sure you were probably too. It's what a major loss to cinema. I know you're a big fan of him. So was this the first film that you became a fan of his, or what was the first film? How did you become a fan of Delon?
Well, first of all, I was also devastated. And it's weird how we kind of like create those connections, those relationships with those actors that we don't even know personally, but their work affect us in a way that we kind of like, it's kind of like it's your friend that you're losing. It's weird, but it kind of feels that way. And I remember when he passed away, like I was all day long, all these movies were playing in the background and everything, and I was very sad. But I have to say, I don't remember the first film I saw. It might, like, it's not his best one, but when I was young, he was playing in Asterix and Obelix, which is a thing in France that's very popular. But it was not one of his best roles. It was just like when I was young, that was how I was like acquainted by him. But
was it a kids movie?
I always like yeah. Asterix and Obelix is a comic book in France, which is I could like tell you about it, but he played in the live action adaptation of that, and I feel like as a kid that's the first time I saw him. But it's really, Samouraï might have been like one of the first film for real like that I really like was like, okay, that's my first experience with Alain Delon being the actor that he is. But yeah, just going back on his passing, that's always sad. Every year at the Oscars when there's the in memoriam segment and you see all those names, I always get extremely emotional. I mean, the year that Ennio Morricone passed away, the composer, from The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly, Ennio Morricone, like that, I think I cried for like a day because he was my gateway drug into cinema, and it hurts. It's someone like you get close to those person, even though it's a composer, it's their work, how it affects you, and then you feel sad. So when you said like Alain Delon passed away in August, yes, that hurt. But at the same time, it's good that we can talk about it and keep his legacy alive, like we're doing right now, I guess.
Yeah, absolutely. That's part of why it just felt like I have to do Les Samouraï this year. I had to pay tribute to him in some way. I think France consider him like the king of French cinema. When he passed away, people were calling him the king, and the king has passed. And I imagine Catherine Deneuve might be the queen. I don't know, but I would think she might be. So you've known who he was since you were a kid. He's been around in your life for a long time. Is he one of your favorite actors, one of your favorite movie stars?
Oh, for sure. I mean, right now, I would say in terms of like actors who are living, my favorite, it's a wild pick, but it will show you what kind of person I am. But it's probably Nicolas Cage. Like Nicolas Cage is probably like one of my favorite living actors right now. But back in the days, there was like Humphrey Bogart, Alain Delon was one of them. So many great actors. Jimmy Stewart, Clint Eastwood is also one of my favorite actors of all time. I know I'm naming a lot of male actors, but there's also some great female actors. But if like I think about how my viewing experience and my cinema experience evolved throughout their years. So some of the names that I was like, that guy he's my kind of actor. You know, at the end of the day, it becomes instinctive. You know, it's like you create a connection with them, and Alain Delon with his eyes definitely creates a connection. We can say that for sure.
Oh,
Yeah.
his eyes are amongst the most powerful eyes of cinema. I think it's safe to say.
That's true. But there's something I want to ask you. You said show don't tell. What did you mean by that? Because you said this is one of the kind of movie that you would put in a category of show don't tell. How would you see that? Because I have my version of it, but I'm curious to hear how do you see that?
So the film doesn't really give you much. We're analyzing it for ourselves. Not much is told to us. The most times he talks is with the pianist, and they only have maybe three. They don't have many scenes together, and if they are, they're short and not very talkative, except for one scene. So you have to pay attention. You have to kind of keep peeling the onion in a way, and that's why these films are so rewatchable. That's why I've mentioned Easy Rider, is because you gain something even more from rewatching. And this film, I think, as someone who's not fluent in French, it's a little bit harder to understand this film because the first time you watch it, your feet are not fully on the ground. You know, you don't know the culture as well as American cinema. It's not as easy to you. So what I took away from rewatching this film greatly elevated the film for me, because catching on to, he's not only plotting his mission, he's plotting his alibi at the same time. So you have a greater appreciation for it. And the dialogue isn't so direct. He doesn't say too much. It's always hard to articulate show don't tell because it's the visuals that really speak volumes. I'm more used to Easy Rider, so it's like the message isn't told to you. You learn it yourself. You learn it on your own. You create your own meanings with it. I always have trouble describing show don't tell.
No, but it's the pure power of cinematic language at work. Like just the image, the sound, you make your own idea about it. And when you talk about Easy Rider, it's a great example. Like just there's some visual tricks with the editing. Not to jump, like to change the subject, but with Easy Rider, it's a movie that you can really say what's the story. Three guys go on the road and they stole some money and they have fun. The end. But at the end of the day, it's like a beautiful movie about America and how like a movement that was in America during the 60s and everything just like clearly like encapsulates something that very like important moment. And with Le Samouraï, there's not a lot being said. Once again, someone could say, what's the point with the bird in the cage? But then again, we just talked about the bird for like 10 minutes. So that's what makes the movie so visually powerful, and it's evocative. Like it brings you so many like emotions. I don't know. That's why I love cinema. But you said show don't tell, and you said the silence speaks volume. That's exactly what I wrote in my notes. So that's exactly what it is about this film, is like when it's quiet. If you don't have a problem with movies that are a little bit more slow, I hate that word. I'm not going to say the movie is slow, but if you have a problem, like, fine, you could be distracted and it's not your cup of tea. But at the end of the day, we're talking about a movie that has influenced so much thing, and just all those little moments. That's why the opening shot for 1 minute, 30 seconds, like we talked about it, but show don't tell. That's like, you said it, show don't tell.
Exactly.
That's what it is. Yeah.
Hitchcock had said that these show don't tell films are pure cinema. The way he describes it is telling a story visually without dialogue. So for him to say that's pure cinema, that should signal something. And
yeah.
Some people, yes, they are bored by it. They find it slow, but can I just say they're wrong?
Yeah, no, but I mean, I always say that as a joke. When they say the movie's boring, I'm like, you're boring. Like, the movie's not boring. Just pay attention. Pay attention.
Yes.
Yeah.
Put down your phone and watch the film.
Exactly. And you're talking about Hitchcock and how he said, like, visual are very important. I mean, that's something about Hitchcock. Before he became very, like, popular, he made probably, like, 10 silent movies. Like The Lodge. He made a lot of silent movies in the 20s and 30s. So he understood the mean of, like, visual storytelling. So when the sound came in and everything he could do, like, I mean, the guy was having a blast and he made all of, like, some of the best film of all times. So it just shows to tell that it's to learn a certain craft and then put it to another level. And that's also what Le Samouraï is, because it's a neo-noir film. It's a film noir, but at a different like scale. That's how I see it. Like it's really like one of those film that influence so many genres, but also incorporates a lot of things in it. Like it's very quiet but powerful. So yeah.
Absolutely. I think true masters are able to do that. I mentioned Antonioni Melville, of course, who directed this film.
Yeah.
Not many directors can get away with it. Hitchcock, and more recently, Christopher Nolan. So,
yeah. You know what? When I think of Jean Pierre Melville, I think about Denis Villeneuve a lot. I feel like they have a lot of similarities in their way the cinema is like being portrayed on screen. But Denis Villeneuve and Jean Pierre Melville is like two guys. I see a lot of similarities in that because you talk about the bird in the cage. Did you watch Arrival?
I did. I loved Arrival.
But do you remember this moment where she's communicating with the alien and there's this bird in the cage during in the spaceship?
Oh.
So I clearly saw it as an homage to Le Samouraï, but I also see a lot of the way that Denis Villeneuve sometimes can be quiet, but he can also be very loud and powerful and poetic. But I see a lot of similarities between Jean Pierre Melville and Denis Villeneuve. Yeah,
that's a great comparison to make because Villeneuve, the visuals are the forefront.
Yeah,
he can tell a story through visuals. Even that shot in Prisoners with the zoom in of the tree, that shot is so subtle and it's so powerful, and it just marks a shift in the story just through this one shot of this tree. Mm-hmm. Phenomenal.
But I feel like he understands how, like, when to be quiet. That's a little bit, to go back on show don't tell and the silence, which is a big theme of the Samouraï. But I remember I was rewatching the Samouraï. I feel like there was this moment with like a bird in a cage in Arrival, and then rewatching that, I was like, yeah, that's very similar in the way that how it transpires, the storytelling and everything. It just doesn't, it's not like a prop, it doesn't put just a bird in a cage just to put a bird in a cage. It serves as a storytelling purposes, and that. Anyway, Villeneuve and Melville, they have a lot in common, except being French, but yeah.
Yeah. There's always a reason for something. If it's in the film, it's for a reason.
Yeah. Did you happen to see all those alternate posters for Le Samouraï? They're so artistic, it's crazy. I don't know if I can share my screen, but I would like to show them to you. But anyway, the audience won't be able to see them. But there's so many great posters. There's a Japanese posters. There's an American version. It's called The Godson. All those posters are so beautiful. But it shows how a movie with this like aesthetic that is very iconic, you can play around with that, and it shows how it's a work of art in some ways, and it can inspires different things afterwards. Because I could send you like 10 posters from this movie which are all great looking, like each of one of them. Yeah,
movie posters back then were superior. They were more creative, more artistic. I wish more films today did posters like they used to.
Oh, I mean, it's sad how right now it's just like moving heads on a poster with the big title and the name of the actors. Back then, they used to try to put some art into it.
Yes.
like some heart, but some art as well, like just being creative and try to find like a way to communicate that. But just with Le Samouraï, I feel like you could do a competition, make a poster for The Samouraï, and you would have like 100, because this movie is so rich, not only visually, but in its themes. I saw a poster with the bird in the cage for Criterion. I saw like all those different kind of things because it shows how rich it is thematically. So that's what I love about this movie. Also, like it inspires other kind of work of art in some way. Yeah.
Absolutely. When we were talking about Alain Delon, before we get into his eyes,
which are the most beautiful eyes in cinema?
Yes, the most beautiful eyes. I think that's a fact, especially with the coloring of films back in the day, the way they highlight blue colors. Late 60s coloring is probably my favorite of any time. Mm-hmm. So before we get lost in the eyes of Alain Delon, how can we describe Jef?
That's a very good question. How would we describe it? I mean, he's very impassive, he's cold-blooded, but at the same time, you can see that it's a human being. But I would say the word that I used earlier, he's a sociopath at the end of the day, but it's interesting how it's being depicted. So I would say, if I have to choose one word, I would say he's a sociopath. But at the same time, I feel like I'm insulting someone that I love, because you get you get connected to this character. You know what I mean? Like, it's difficult to call him. Yeah. I feel like I'm insulting someone I like. You're like, well, he's a sociopath, but I kind of like him. So that's how I would.
How dare you insult Alain Delon?
Yeah, that's exactly right. Yeah. How would you describe him? Jef. Not Alain Delon, Jef, the character of Jef. Yeah.
Yes, Jef. I wrote down a few words. I'm very surprised you describe him as a sociopath because I don't see him that way. That's so funny.
Okay.
That's, again, what's great about cinema. We take different things from cinema, different approaches, different analyses. A few words that I wrote down were sleek, precise, calculated, direct, without errors, decisive, routine, effortless, like clockwork, casual approach, with no big deal. That I described Jef and how he goes about his work. Those were the kind of adjectives I used to describe. I think calculated stands out the most because of how, in the beginning, we're not told, again, show don't tell, we're just watching him going about his mission, but also planting his alibi simultaneously. And later, in this one scene where he's talking a lot with the pianist, we are now hearing from him what he's thinking. Well, you didn't recognize me. You didn't say I was the guy at the police station because of this or this. And he gets very analytical. So it's cool to see him in two different ways. But of course, it's more, we're just watching. We're not fully let into him. But he's very precise. Even the way he puts on his hat in the mirror, it's all very meticulous is a great word you've said.
Yeah.
Very direct, to the point, no small talk. He has bold lines like, I never lose. Even without words alone, the way he gets rid of the evidence, the gun, the gloves, of course, he gets rid of that just effortlessly.
Yeah, great details, once again.
Just perfect.
Details. Yeah. And it's...
He might be perfect.
But the reason... You know what? You say he's perfect, but let's just, get the elephant out of the room. He's a killer. He's killing people for money.
Yes.
So when I call...
The way he goes about his routine...
So when I think...
He goes about his routine with perfectionism, but he's striving for perfection, much like the commissioner. So he's not perfect because he's a killer, of course, but the way he goes about it's so precise, so routine. There's no room for any errors.
Oh, listen, I would hire him to clean my house, but I mean, it would be someone that be my best friend. I don't know. The guy, he's a killer. That's what I mean when I say he's a sociopath, because he clearly has mental issues. And you talked about specifically how Melville himself said that you might be schizophrenic. So that kind of makes sense in a way. So when I say sociopath, I feel bad because I'm not insulting Alain Delon. It's just, but it shows when a movie is able to convince you that the main character is your friend, you know the movie made a great job, especially when it's like a Michael Corleone in The Godfather, or all those psychopathic characters that are big icons in cinema and people relate to them, and that would be one of them. But I still love Alain Delon in The Samouraï, but he's a sociopath. That's how I see it.
That's so fun. Yeah, but he's motivated by money. The reason he does everything is money. And the last line in the scene when the blonde is in his apartment, he's saying, so what about this contract?
Mm-hmm.
He's interested. He wants the money, but he's not very indulgent. He doesn't come across as indulgent.
Mm-hmm.
We don't get much time with him in general because the film only spans 3 days or so. The film only spans 3 days. It's a very short timeline. But do you think we get a good idea of who Jef is in this short period of time we have with him?
That's fair. I mean, there could be a whole prequel about how he became a sociopath, but that's the beauty of the movie. No, I'm kidding, by the way. I'm kidding. I keep bringing that up.
That's so funny because you're imagining that backstory. I'm imagining, what was his training like? Is he more instinctual, or is everything he's doing through his training? What's the relationship with Jane? Because that's ambiguous in itself. Is he his girlfriend? They're just friends? We don't fully know. We just get a sense from her that she likes him. She does love him.
Right.
But we don't get too many warm feelings, I guess, from Delon in this film.
It's true, but to go back on what we were saying earlier, that's what makes it nice to talk about, because we don't know that. But if you would have a whole epilogue at the end of the film that explain all the backstory, that would kind of make it boring in some way. So that's interesting that we see it both in the different ways. But at the end of the day, you're right. He's he's meticulous, and is a character that you care about. And you can see he's not necessarily a bad person. I didn't say he's a bad person, but you could see, it's interesting how the character is being portrayed and how a lot is left to interpretation for the audience.
Would you say he's an anti-hero?
I would say that. Yes, we can agree on that. Yes, we agree on that.
I think so. Because he's the protagonist, we're instinctually trying to root for him. But at the end, and I've only seen this film 3 times, I'm still confused on the ending.
Mm-hmm.
But from what I've learned, it seems that he does in fact become a hero through saving Jane and implicating the pianist. I watched a video. I want to give credit where credit is due because it was very helpful. From the YouTube video, Les Samouraï created your favorite characters, posted by the French New Wave. The way they described the ending was that he was tasked by the mob to kill the pianist since he's no longer the loose end in this conspiracy. She is. Instead of killing her, he frames himself, firing at her with an empty gun to assure her innocence while allowing himself to be shot. It ensures the pianist and Jane's safety. I've heard mixed things on that. That's why I said before, if he's implicating the pianist, I'm not sure, because it does, from what Melville has said, he does love the pianist. But this whole thing was an act of, awry ritual suicide by samurai as an honorable alternative to disgrace or execution.
Yeah. But that makes sense.
Do you understand the ending?
Yeah. No. But so what I do understand about it is, first of all, is it kind of goes back to the fact that I feel like you nailed it when you said he's an anti-hero. So I think he's a good person. It's very representative of the code of the samurai. That's why the opening quote is so important. And it says, there's no greater solitude than that of the samurai, unless it is that of the tiger in the jungle. So he's being confronted into his own ideology. And by the end of it, he makes a sacrifice like a samurai. That's basically what he does, because there's no bullet in his gun at the end of the movie. So you know that he didn't intend to kill her. I feel he was just sacrificing himself because he knew, I mean, it's a code of honor with the culture of the samurai. So it's interesting in that way. But also as an audience, you're kind of like, you're sad. You're like, oh, I wish he would have stayed alive. I wish this, I wish that. So it's interesting, but it's really, if you go full circle with a movie, what I love is when the opening and the ending are very meaningful without kind of like being very, they're all open-ended a little bit in some ways, like left to interpretation. So the same way as at the beginning of the movie, you don't know this guy, but you learn who he is with one shot. He's in the dark. He's smoking a cigarette alone in his one-room apartment. And at the end of it, he gets killed. And it ends with a freeze frame. So I see it as a little bit as him like leaving his body, and he just left. And this is the spirit of the samurai. And the movie ends with the credit rolling and the beautiful music by François de Roubaix. So the way I see it is really like a sacrifice as a samurai would do. So that's a great point that you brought with the analysis that you were mentioning.
Yeah, it was definitely a sacrifice to help Jane. Still trying to understand it entirely. Hopefully on another rewatch, that'll be something I gain from a rewatch. But before he enters the club, he has a loaded gun.
Mm-hmm.
But after he's killed, he has an empty gun.
Mm-hmm.
So do you understand? This is something I don't fully understand. From what I've learned, though, it wasn't meant to be a trick.
Mm-hmm.
But it goes to the interpretation of the film.
Mm-hmm.
To me, it felt more open-ended after the first time I saw it, but not so much the second time. So what do you think about the loaded gun to empty gun?
I do think it was intentional. And once again, it's show, don't tell. But maybe at the opposite, because now we didn't see it. So I don't know, but that's what's interesting about it. But I feel like at the end of the day, is someone who he knew he was getting into trouble. The more the movie advanced, the more he's like digging his own grave. That's what's happening. He like his own employer is trying to get him killed. He's in trouble with the police, and the more he realizes he's about to he lost it. So that's what a samurai does when a samurai knows he lost. He's gonna kill himself. So that's part of the samurai code. So I feel like he just deliberately did that. That's what my feeling is, like he did it on purpose. Now, I would have to analyze shot by shot, watch it again, see it's interesting though that we don't have the answers, but I feel like it was deliberate. That's my feeling.
Okay. You mentioned the 2 groups of people going after him. You have the police going after him, and you have his employers, criminal underworld as they're often referred to. So something that's very much a part of New Hollywood is the paranoid thrillers. That was one of the biggest genres of the 70s in American cinema.
Yeah.
This film has a paranoid thriller-esque feel to it because these two groups are looking for him. He's being chased by these two groups.
Uh-huh.
One group wants to arrest him. One wants to kill him.
Mm-hmm.
So is it safe to say that we should have known that this wouldn't end well for Jef?
Oh, I mean, yeah, absolutely. And that's why I feel like he has some, we'll never know, but he has some mental issues, because why would you put yourself in a situation where to make a living, you decide that you need to kill people and get into like this old world? I mean, you could get a job at McDonald's or you could do whatever you want, but you don't have to decide to kill someone for money. So yes, it's excusable, but it's not something that you think of when you watch the movies because you're just like so immersed into this character. But at the end of the day, I mean, yes, he put himself into this situation and he brought that to himself by being this cold-blooded killer. But I do love how we were talking about the visual, not to change the subject too much, but it's being portrayed with how cold the cinematography is, the color palette is, and all the costumes are very neutral. He's very I feel like it's someone who doesn't show really empathy, but I wouldn't say that much because there is some moment where you see that there's some heart behind that person. But I mean, at the end of the day, he did brought that into himself. Is there a backstory that we don't know? What happened to him 5 years ago? He has no family. We don't know about that. I love the fact that you mentioned that it all takes place within a span of 3 days, and then we don't know what happens after. We don't know. We'll never know what happens before. So that's what I think that's really interesting about it. But I think he brought that to himself. That's my opinion. How do you feel about it?
Well, so, oh my God, you just mentioned 3 things that I'm like, oh shoot, where to go, what lane to choose. You refer to him as cold-blooded.
Yeah.
So, okay, we've been teasing the eyes of Alain Delon. So there's a few moments that are worthy of interpretation of what his eyes mean in these moments.
Yeah.
I described it, though, as an icy exterior, warm interior, because he does seem to care for the women. So
yeah.
It's hard for me to label him as cold-blooded because I do think, yes, there's a big part of him that's cold-blooded, but in several moments, it does look like his icy exterior, warm interior. What do you think of?
I absolutely agree with that. There's a certain empathy towards him, want it or not. Like I said, you're not watching a character that you completely dislike and you don't understand his morals. It's presented in a way that you feel for him, and I do think that, like you said, he does have a heart at the end of the day. And that's why I think it's a protagonist that you like to follow. But I mean, when I say cold-blooded, it's because he's killing people, because that's...
Yes, of course.
The base, yeah. But. It shows that, like you said, he cares about women. He has certain, I feel like even himself, he doesn't know what he is. At some point, this is why he's being conflicted and destabilized, because his whole life that we didn't see, by the way, he's living in a certain way, but now everything changes and he's being conflicted about I don't know, maybe his own reason to live. But that's it's interesting. I mean, well, it's a very good question, by the way. It's a very good question. But what I would say is he's definitely he has some issues, but it's someone that you care about.
Yes.
That's what I would say. Yeah.
He's very loyal, which is a key trait characteristic of samurais.
Mm-hmm.
And you had said the quote from the Book of Bushido, which is not a real quote. Mm-hmm. Melville made it up.
Really?
You didn't know? Oh, I thought you knew that.
No, I didn't know that. That's great. I love it. I didn't know that.
Oh my God. Yeah, Melville wrote it. That's not even a book.
No, but I'm thinking I know so much about samurai and all those things. I got fooled. Yeah, I didn't know that.
Oh my God.
That's great.
You would think it's a real quote. It seems genuine, but...
I feel like an idiot now.
No.
I feel like an idiot.
No. You know about this film more than I do. I just learned this through trivia. But it's not a real book. He quotes in the beginning. It's presented as it's real, but it's not. Now, there is a real book of samurai, I believe, and Roger Ebert had written an analysis of this. Roger Ebert had suggested a quote from a real book called The Code of Samurai, which is from the 16th century. This quote is, "One who is a samurai must before all things keep constantly in mind, by day and by night, the fact that he has to die. That is his chief business." That could have worked in the opening as well. What do you think?
But you just destroyed my whole life. I have a tattoo with the quote. No, that's
Oh my God. I believed you for a moment.
Imagine.
I was like, wow, you're really dedicated to this film. Yeah.
Imagine if I had made like a tattoo with like this code that is actually all made up. I would have looked like an idiot, but that's okay. I do like though the one you just told. That was great. But about the samurai, it's something that, even though the quote is made up, it's kind of true though. There's a solitude with the samurai. There's a code of honor, and everything is being portrayed throughout the movie. I really love that. Yeah.
It's a great quote, even though it's fake. But the film, the reason it's called Les Samurai is more of the code that he lives by.
Yeah.
As you were saying, he's very much into solitude. He doesn't really like the outside world too much, it seems. I mean, again, we don't really detect too many warm feelings in this film, but he practices solitude, but you don't get the sense he enjoys solitude.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. He doesn't seem to enjoy much, but it's just the way of life. Being a samurai, he's loyal. He lives by this code.
Mm-hmm.
Even when he's in the bar after the arrest and everything, he pays for his drink even though he didn't drink it. That's another thing. He goes by this code. He's loyal to, he's loyal to the bird, and he's loyal to Jane.
Yeah.
But he's loyal to the ones who care for him, he cares for. So, yeah, basically he lives by a strict code. And Melville has said that even though he loves American cinema, is very much influenced by American cinema, he feels that this film is more Japanese than American.
Oh, absolutely. I agree with that. Fun fact, by the way. Did you know that Jean Pierre Melville also served in the war? He was serving for the French Revolution in the 1940s. So this guy knows about like code of honor and being like disciplined, and like he went to the war and he fought in the war. He lost his brother in the war, and he came back and he became the great director that he is today. So that's kind of interesting to see how he applied his past experience into this movie. Because I mean, there's something about someone who goes to war. There's a lot of themes that can be explored about that. But I was also looking on his Wikipedia page, and when I saw he went to war, I was like, man, this guy, he did a lot. And that's the same thing could be said about Adam Driver, because he served in the military, but that was different. Because Jean Pierre Melville went to World War II. He fought Nazis, and he came back and he made like those great movies. So I feel like this baggage, this life experience transpires to the film. Like for sure, definitely. Like yeah, all those cold characters, those great messages, those great themes. I don't know if you ever saw his film L'Armée des Ombres, Army of Shadows, from 1968.
I haven't. I need to watch more Melville films.
Army of Shadows is a masterpiece. It's a masterpiece. Like not even. It's not like yeah, it's a good film. No, it's a masterpiece. Like you would absolutely love it. It has a similar vibe. Once you start seeing it, let's say you watch Samouraï, Army of Shadows, and Le Cercle Rouge back to back, you see who that person is at this time of his life. Like he has a big like background, and it shows when you watch that film. And Le Samouraï, or all of his film, actually, like all of his film. Yeah.
Well, I mean, in American cinema, James Stewart, he was also a soldier.
Yeah.
So was Henry Fonda.
Yeah.
And Alain Delon was a soldier as well.
Yeah, I didn't know that.
I wish I had more details about it, but all I learned was he got in trouble while being a soldier. Like he had taken a Jeep once without permission. So he had some fun, I guess.
I don't know why, but you're telling me this and I'm like, all right, I can see that. I can totally see him being like this little rebel.
Oh, absolutely. He gives off that sort of energy through his work. He's this cool guy. He's the bad cool guy. I mean, in another interview, he had said that Belmondo is your friend. I'm not your friend. Belmondo, I guess, did more comedies. He didn't. He's this cool, the bad boy of French cinema. And yeah, that's a conversation. Belmondo, Delon. I hope in the years to come I can have a better understanding of that dynamic. And it sounds like a De Niro Pacino type for French cinema.
Yeah, it kind of is. It kind of is actually, but both of them are great. So at the end of the day, but yeah, that's an interesting point. I love Jean-Paul Belmondo. It was the moment he broke the fourth wall in Breathless, and he's just turning to the camera. I mean, like, this is a moment where you create a connection with an actor, and the same could be said about Alain Delon's eyes when he's just like staring at something very important. Because I couldn't even pull it off, but yeah, he's so special, and those two are really special. Yeah.
Not many can pull off the Alain Delon eyes. They can convey the most incredible emotions just through their eyes alone. It's a very powerful quality for an actor to have.
But that's something that's special about the way the films are shot today, because if you look at, let's say, Purple Noon, because I sent you a screenshot when we were talking about email. It's a shot from Plein Soleil, Purple Noon, and it's this very like extreme close-up of his eyes, and you can almost see the sweat on his face and the blue like piercing the screen. It all goes down to the choice of lenses, the choice of the camera, the choice of the actor. And I feel like this is an art that's being lost throughout, like, the more we go forwards into film, especially big budget films. They're all like about big, wide shots with green screens and special effects. And how about this little extreme close-up of Alain Delon's eyes? Like, it's important, those little moments. And I feel like it's an art that's being lost the more and more, but not to, to bash against modern movies, because a lot of movies these days are actually very great. But there's something about it that was so special during those days. And it feels like the less resources you would have, the more work you would have to put behind the camera, the more creative you would have to do. I guess that's how I see it.
Yes, and same with censorship. You have to be more creative with the rules of the time. Even the scene at the overpass with the shooting. It's hard to tell what happens there because you can't have too violent of a shot. You can't portray violence too graphically.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a lot of confusion. You see the angle of which we see the shooting, that altercation happen, is very interesting. It's, again, paranoid thriller-like, because it's almost like someone else is there from their point of view watching from maybe another overpass or another elevated surface. Do you think that was more, that shot, that moment was filmed that way more through the censorship, or do you think that someone was there and it's a point of view shot?
You're talking about the shot during at the train station when he gets shot?
Yeah, the overpass when he evades the police and he's walking towards this blonde guy, which that shot is excellent in itself because it's just a stationary shot as he's walking closer, and then very close up we see those eyes.
Yeah. Well, there's this classic shot, reverse shot. So you see the shot from Alain Delon's perspective and then the other shot. And then, like you said, it becomes very chaotic the moment there's a shot. So yeah, it could be definitely someone, because that's how I see it. Because the whole time this scene is filmed in a way that's very stationary, and it's something we talked about earlier. But the shot, reverse shot, it's something that's very evocative when you're watching a movie. Because as an audience, it kind of like puts you in the eyes of who you're being experienced the whole thing too. So with Le Samouraï, for example, with Alain Delon, this moment, you can tell that the other guy is coming, and you can tell something is wrong. And this all shot, reverse shot is so symmetrical. It's shot in a way that's very, like, it puts you in a different kind of like a mental phase. It's weird. I'm having trouble describing it, but I did notice something about that shot that made me feel. But it's really to go back on the fact that it's the cinematic language of that film that speaks volume. And yes, when the shots happen, no music. It could have put like a big like string, like big dramatic like push or action beat. No, it's just very quiet. And there's the shaky cam, and there's not a lot of a shaky cam shot in that film. I mean, Jean Pierre Melville knows how to use a tripod. Same thing could be said about. No, but it's true. David Fincher, I think in 7, there's like 6 shots that are not put on a tripod, and one of them is when Brad Pitt characters realize you saw 7. I'm not spoiling it to you.
One of my favorite films, yes.
Okay, but the moment that there's the shaky cam and he's going to the box, but the rest of the movie, it's always like very stationary. So there's a selection, there's a thought process to go into, do I use a tripod right now? Or do I use like a shaky cam? And it's during that scene at the train station, at the what you're talking about, there's that happening because the camera's very stationary. You see the other guy, shot, reverse, and then there's that shaky cam that gives me the impression that someone saw them. I would agree with you that that's the case. And you know what I love? We don't know. We don't know. We don't know. There's not another scene where there's this witness that come in and is like, yeah, I saw them at the train station, and we don't need that. We don't need that. That's what I love.
It's up to interpretation.
Yeah.
That's why show don't tell films are so great.
Show don't tell. Show don't tell.
Yes. Show don't tell. Yes. I love how you mentioned there's no score in that moment, because that chase scene in the metro, no score that entire time, but that doesn't diminish from how thrilling and exciting of a scene that it is.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And the same could be said about a lot of movies in the 70s and the 60s, French Connection. There's so many great movies that use this sense of realism, and it kind of feels like a documentary, because at that time, like I said earlier, it was a lot of movie film on sound stages and those big studio movies. But when a movie, they start being shoot on location, it gives them a level of realism that I feel like us personally. I was not there in the 60s. I'm not that old, but when for the people that was there, it was a big changes. I feel like in the way that they were seeing media being portrayed, that they're used to seeing this as if you're going to a theater, and then you have this movie that it's so close to reality that it feels like it's closer to home. And like you say, it paved the way for a new generation of film, and it was one of the most influential movements in cinema. I totally agree with that.
Yeah, this film in itself is one of the most influential films in cinema. The list is incredibly extensive.
Yeah.
It's surprising. Yeah. Like, we mentioned Drive, we mentioned The Killer, even Taxi Driver, Thief. We may have mentioned this earlier, but I forget. There's so much to say about this film, which, surprisingly enough, when I rewatched it about a month ago, I was a little nervous because is there much to analyze? Is there much to talk about here? But no, there's plenty to talk about.
There is. I was nervous as well. I hate it when I have to talk about a movie that is so well regarded, because I feel I'm not gonna give it justice. You know what I mean? I made a video.
Absolutely.
I made a video about The Shining this summer, and it was very personal. But it's difficult. It's a movie because it's everything to me. So I want to give it justice, and I understand your feeling of nervousness. So that's why before we jumped onto the call, I was nervous. I was like, all right, what can I say about the Samouraï? And we've been talking about it for almost 2 hours now. So that shows, what kind of film that is.
Yes, it's hard to articulate films sometimes, which,
yeah.
And of course, when you're on a recording, that's when I go and I lose something. I'm fine without the recording, which is so weird, but something happens when the recording button's on and a microphone's in front of me that I don't do it as justice as I would if it wasn't, which is frustrating.
Yeah.
So, as we continue to, actually, I'll just say one thing about the metro chase sequence that goes into the paranoid thriller-esque feel to the film. So many people are chasing him. Everyone has this transmitter to keep track of him for the commissioner back at home base, I guess. And the way the camera focuses on some people make it appear that the unexpecting or the unassuming are on his case. I assume most of them are. When the camera focuses on someone, that they are. But it kind of feels, again, that ambiguity. We'll never know.
Exactly.
We'll never know who exactly was on his case. We know for certain a few people, that woman who, she's following him, and then he's standing still, and then he just runs away. He evades the police once again. And after he officially evades the police, he goes into a car that he steals. And we see emotion from him. He looks nervous. And he doesn't look nervous any other point in the film. Not even in the lineup.
It's true.
Anywhere.
It's true.
So, okay. Maybe he wasn't portraying emotion at several moments that you would think he's nervous for. So, do you think he was at all nervous in the lineup? And, okay, this is 2 questions.
Yeah.
But is there a point where his plan went awry?
Oh, yeah, totally. I definitely think that he knew he messed up. It's the moment, the moment you do the first kill, and he comes out of the room, and he meets with the witness, which is one of the main characters of the film, the one we see in the final shot and everything.
The pianist,
so that woman clearly saw him. And I feel like he was even more destabilized when she didn't say she saw him. because he didn't know like who to trust. And it goes back to the ambiguity that you're talking about. Like he goes there, and obviously we see a lot of people, a lot of reaction shots of people tracking him as he's leaving the club. So as an audience, we're like, okay, they saw him. We know they saw him. So when he goes into that room and he's being interrogated, and there's like this lineup, the police lineup scene, we know as an audience that people saw him, but we don't know who, and we don't know who really saw him, because some of them are like, no, I don't recognize him. But that woman, we know for sure that she recognized him. We know for sure that she did, but she's not telling him that she did. So that's the part that I think that's very interesting, is it becomes kind of like this connection and one of the push for the whole story to advance, because we see her, she's a main part of the film. But he knows, I feel like, yes, at that point, he knows he's fucked. So that's why he's kind of like destabilized, and she knows and he knows, but nothing is being told. Show don't tell.
Show don't tell, once again.
Yeah, exactly.
That's cool that you pinpoint that moment, because she's, I guess, a symbol for death.
Yeah.
And when he meets her, he looks her in the eyes. That's, if you're saying that that's the point where he knows where things just went awry.
Yeah.
He's looking into death at that moment, but he falls in love with her.
Yeah, I agree.
So,
yeah.
Gosh, the complexity is just incredible.
Yeah, it's powerful. And he never said like I'm in love with you, Jane, and okay, yeah, let's fall in love with the music. No, that's not what this movie's about. It's about the power of silence, and that's part of the Samouraï code, and that's what makes like a very unique film. It's so rich. Every moment, every frame, visually, emotionally, it has something to tell at any second. That's why I think it's one of the best movies of all time. For sure. Yeah.
Yes. So there were a few moments that I think deserve a little bit of analysis with Delon's eyes, is when he briefly visits the bar and he watches the pianist.
Yeah.
This is a short visit, but when he's looking at her, what expression can you read on his face? What do you think?
That's interesting. I wish I would have the scene right now in front of me, but I feel like he's very confused about what he's getting himself into. And maybe himself, it goes back to the fact that he's being destabilized. And I feel like he's always in control, but it's one of those moments where you might be losing control. That's maybe how I see it. How do you see it? I'm interested in why that moment?
Well, it's interesting to me because his eyes are kind of wide as he's watching her. He's not really blinking, it seems. He's just watching her. And again, an icy exterior, warm interior. So maybe this is where he's just looking at her with love, but icy exterior on the outside.
Mm-hmm.
And the bartender offends him by saying, they always return to the scene of the crime, which that bartender is amongst the group of employers in the scene earlier in the film that is effortlessly cut with the police meeting to talk about how to get Jef, which that can unlock a whole other paranoid-esque conversation, because with that one individual. But his eyes in that really, his eyes are always striking, but in that scene in particular was really interesting. Another, which is pretty instant, a quick shift, was when the blonde guy comes into his apartment before and after the role reversal, before the gun is being pointed at him, and then when he's pointing the gun.
Yeah.
Two very different eyes in this one scene by a flip of a switch.
Mm-hmm.
Incredible.
Absolutely, I agree with that. And there's so many like things that could be said about all those looks that are being given throughout the movie. And we talk about the silence. And if you wouldn't have Alain Delon's beautiful eyes, the movie would be half as like interesting as it is. Like there's so much that's being communicated, and that as an audience member, it makes the movie entertaining. Because we were talking about earlier, like sometimes if nothing is happening, people find it boring, especially these days when everything has like short attention span. But when you have an actor like Alain Delon, you actually get lost in his eyes. Everything's become interesting. You like for like 2-3 minutes, nothing could happen, but you're like so engaged in everything that he's doing. But it's also how the movie's being cut and edited, and it's shot reverse shot. We talk about that with the train station scene. It's so powerful the way this movie hits you like in the face, literally. I love it.
Yes, in so many ways. It's very the way it portrays emotion in various ways, and the eyes. Damn, his eyes are they're you don't get much better.
You must have said like 5 times the eyes, and I see you're like the eyes.
As you said, he's a very good-looking guy.
Of course,
it's disarming.
It is.
There's not too many other more attractive actors in cinema.
But did you watch Plein Soleil, right? You watched Purple Noon?
Oh yeah, that's another one.
So this is what his problem is. He always gets into trouble because he's so good looking. That's this problem.
Yep.
Like everyone falls under his charm. La Piscine is the same thing. The old plotline of La Piscine, the swimming pool, would be Alain Delon is so good looking he gets into trouble. That would be my plotline like of what the movie is. So
and I will be watching that very soon now.
I love it.
That gave me more of a case to finally watch it. It's been on my watch list for a while, but
oh yeah.
The shot of him in the sunglasses laying by the pools was already a boost for me. But
10 out of 10. Nothing to say. No notes.
It's regarded as one of his very best, so.
Yeah, but to be honest, I don't think La Piscine swimming pool is like his best film. I just think in that movie, he's like peak good-looking Alain Delon, genre like 10 out of 10.
This isn't his peak?
I mean, Le Samouraï is his best movie, but in terms of like good-looking, La Piscine is like, yeah, because he's always like, sitting by the pool, shirtless. This movie is all flirty and everything. So La Piscine is more like, if you want to see good-looking Alain Delon, La Piscine will satisfy you in that.
I think it's on Criterion.
It might be. You'll know for sure.
Fingers crossed. Oh my gosh. So he has very much an icy exterior, very cold-blooded eyes when he's facing the gun at the blonde guy. But that icier, warm exterior, I don't even want to make this comparison, but...
No, say it.
I thought of Puss in Boots for a moment. Like the eyes, like the disarming... I know, I shouldn't.
No, I wanted to hear it.
Face palm, exactly. No. I know, I deserve that. The way he looks at him with his eyes, like almost, you feel for him. Mm-hmm. But... I'm sorry, I shouldn't have said. No,
it's funny, but there's so much empathy behind his eyes. So that's why when I said he was like cold-blooded and everything and sociopath, I feel like I'm insulting him because I also love him. You know what I mean? So that's why when you made that comparison with Puss in Boots, I understand what you mean. Like those little eyes that you're like, oh, but I still love him. Like even though he would hurt someone, a few minutes later you will, but it's okay. Like it was not your fault.
Oh my God, why is this comparison now becoming even more interesting? You just said how he attacks after the empathy through his eyes. That's what Puss in Boots does. Oh no.
Yes.
What are we doing?
Yeah. No, but you started it. I didn't do nothing.
I know, it's my yes. Oh no. This is one of the wildest comparisons ever made on this show. Wow, okay. I can't believe it. Okay. Now the last moment that really his eyes are once again just a bit more particularly interesting than usual is the very end, the way he looks at the pianist. How would you describe his eyes, how he's looking at her in that moment?
Well, that's the moment where he makes his sacrifices. I feel like that's the moment where he knows he's like giving up and he's sorry for everything he did, and it's the moment where like his decision is being made, because we talk about the sacrifice and him being a samurai, and at that moment I think like he knew. That's my opinion though. That's why the ending is so like interesting to analyze. Like I feel like he's giving up on that moment. He's just looking at her, telling her he loves her through his eyes, and by drawing this gun he kind of maybe knew what was going on, or maybe not, but that's the way I see it. I mean, that's the way I see it. How do you see it?
Well, I guess for me, I'm still trying to pinpoint when he knew he was going to die that night. Because there was a few foreshadowing goodbye moments. The way he looks at the bird for the last time. The way before he leaves the apartment. The way he looks at Jane. The way he looks at the pianist. His last interaction with the mechanic. Like, when did he decide? When did he know he was going to die? And it seems like he definitely knew in that moment, but...
It's a good question, by the way, but that's why it makes it so interesting, so we can just like rewatch it, because right now I feel like rewatching it and like try to see it in my eyes right now. You know what I mean? Like, this what's cool about this movie. I could like I could always like watch it and see like, all right, maybe this is a different way that I didn't see, because it's a movie that's so rich. That's a word I would always use when describing it. It's rich, it's deep, it's powerful, and masterpiece. It's a masterpiece.
It's a masterpiece. I think it's safe to say that Last Samurai will continue to have an impact 50 years later, 57 years later, as we're still talking about it today.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for joining me today, Matthieu. You're excellent at film analysis, and I've greatly enjoyed discussing this absolute masterpiece at length with you and remembering one of the greatest stars of cinema. You have a YouTube channel, which you post excellent videos, and again, The Eyes of Past Lives. If you've seen Past Lives, definitely check it out. Do you have an upcoming video that you're working on?
That's a good question. I just released an interview that I did with Timo Tchajanto. He's the director for The Shadow Strays. It's his new Netflix film. He's a great action director, and we were able to talk about for like 18 minutes about his movies and his influences. That's a great video that I would like to share. But also a lot of movie analysis that I like to do sometimes on the spot. Like sometimes I watch a movie and I just want to sit down and talk about it and share how it made me feel, because I feel like it's important. And then next thing you know, someone's, at the other side of the country watch your video and also loves it. So I really appreciate that you reached out to me about that, because I really enjoyed doing this video about past lives, but there's more to come. And I love talking about movies. Anytime, Elizabeth, you can join, like invite me into your podcast, and we'll find a topic, because there's so much to talk about, I feel like.
Oh yeah, I'm sure we'll easily find another topic. You just mentioned you just did an interview with Timo.
Yeah.
Who would be your dream interviewee?
Quentin Tarantino, no question asked.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
No question asked. Yeah.
Great answer.
Quentin Tarantino, just like clearly a guy who loves to talk about movies, knows movies. There's a lot to learn about him, but he was also my gateway drug into cinema. Like when I was in college and really started watching all of his film, I really fell in love with movies by watching his films. And I know a lot can be said about how he's borrowing from other directors, but then again, it helped me find some things that I wouldn't be looking for if I was in love with his movies and his influences and everything. But I just feel like I could talk to this guy for weeks.
Oh yeah.
So Quentin Tarantino, someone asked me the same question last time I was on a podcast, and it's the same answer every time. Quentin Tarantino, no question asked. Yeah.
You're on your way. You've interviewed Ari Aster. You've interviewed several prominent directors, and it just keeps coming. Yeah. So we're manifesting that today. Your interview with Tarantino coming up.
Fingers crossed. Thank you so much, by the way. It feels really good to hear all those good, kind comments. Thank you.
Of course. You write for Horror Quebec.
Yeah.
And you are very much a horror fan, saying that The Shining is your favorite film. As a horror fan, what's your favorite horror film of the year so far?
The Substance.
Ah, okay.
Oh yeah, no hesitation. I loved it. Did you see it?
I can't do horror mostly aside from The Shining.
Okay. The Substance, gorgeous film. It's not horror like jump scare. It's really like body horror, it's psychological. So I feel like you would appreciate that aspect of it.
Is it graphic? Is it?
Oh, it's very graphic. It's very influenced by David Cronenberg and The Fly. All those makeup and a lot of body horror. Basically, it's a woman who's being kind of introduced to this secret society where they can give you a better life, a better body. But as those two bodies kind of collides, it becomes more and more self-destructive and graphic. But I don't know how to explain, but it's graphic. It is graphic, but not in a way that the Saw movie would be, right? It's elegant, it's beautifully shot, but there is blood spilling everywhere, if that makes sense.
Okay. I'm so devastated I can't watch this film.
Oh, well.
I'll take your word for it, but...
Yeah, that's my favorite movie of the year so far, yeah. Well, favorite horror movie of the year, yeah.
Okay, all right, interesting. So everyone check out Matthieu on YouTube. It's under his name, Matthieu Côté.
Yeah.
Just search him up there. Is there a film recommendation, a line from a film, really anything you'd like to conclude our episode with today?
Dersu Uzala. I recommended that movie to you, and if there's something I can do is to put that movie out there, because it's not a lot of people that saw it. It's difficult to find, but I feel like it's on the Criterion channel. You should be able to watch it. it's so unique and special and beautiful. It's everything I love about cinema. So it's Dersu Uzala by Akira Kurosawa, 1975, if I'm not mistaken. So yeah, that's one recommendation I would make to you.
Okay, I'm definitely gonna check that one out.
And you said, by the way, sorry, you said line from a film. Right now, nothing comes to mind, but I do fluently talk in movie quotes, like every day, every single hour, every time I'm talking with people, I'm like dropping lines from movies. So I'm very annoying in that way. So I like
That's
nothing
okay.
comes.
I respect that.
Nothing. Yeah, but nothing comes to mind right now. But like we talked about how I love to have a movie in the background, like The Big Lebowski. So that's something I would quote every day. Napoleon Dynamite, all those movies. Like I love to like idiots and like do like I'm in a character and I'm in the movie. So a lot of movie lines, nothing that comes to mind. But if there's one recommendation I could do, it would be Dersu Uzala. Yeah.
Okay, I'm definitely gonna check that one out.
Yeah.
In the spirit of Alain Delon and remembering him, and as you had said before, we're continuing his legacy by talking about him today. I'm gonna say recommendation, another Alain Delon film, L'Eclisse. I love Antonioni. I think it's a great film. It's not as discussed as maybe Rocco and His Brothers and Purple Noon and this one, but it's a fantastic film. Get comfortable with the silence. It's worth it.
Mm-hmm.
It's so good.
I will check it out. Yeah, for sure.
Thank you again so much for joining me today, Matthieu.
Thanks to you. Thanks so much for the invite. That was a great time. I love the talk we had. Yeah, that was good.
This was a great conversation. I'm so thrilled. Yeah. And thank you all for listening. And Matthieu, normally I end with a film quote, but I'll end with a quote by Alain Delon. I knew everything and received everything, but real happiness is giving.
I love it. That's beautiful.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Special thanks to Matthieu Côté, Dr. Gillian Smith, Freddie Burgos, and Bernardo Goya. This episode was recorded on October 17th, 2024.